before and we're saying it again. What do the royals do now about Prince Andrew?
He's in a very, very difficult position. I think he would like his younger brother to fall on his sword.
The pressure shows no sign of easing more than a week after he stopped being a duke.
They hoped that would draw sort of a line under this and instead sort of snowballed.
Will he stay in his home, Royal Lodge in Windsor?
Where he lives there rent-free.
It is very difficult to remove him or for him to move out.
Say very difficult.
The royal family now finds itself grappling with the same painful question it had hoped was resolved: what to do about Prince Andrew. Despite stepping back from his royal duties and losing his duke title over a week ago, a move intended to finally draw a line under the scandal, the pressure on him has not eased but has instead snowballed into a perfect storm of public and political outrage. The immediate, tangible problem is his home, the Royal Lodge in Windsor, where he lives rent-free. The legal and contractual complexities make it exceptionally difficult to forcibly remove him. Yet the symbolic weight of a disgraced prince occupying a royal palace is becoming untenable. The situation has grown so severe that it is now prompting discussions in Parliament about stripping his remaining titles. A clear sign that when MPs are debating the internal affairs of the royal family, something has gone profoundly wrong. With no clear path forward and the scandal only intensifying, it is evident that we are still far from hearing the end of this deeply damaging saga. And most frustrating problem at the heart of this crisis is that Prince Andrew, insulated by privilege and denial, seems utterly incapable of recognizing what is glaringly obvious to everyone else: his tenure as a working royal is irrevocably over. His past association with Jeffrey Epstein was not merely a lapse in judgment, but an unbelievable and utterly untenable entanglement for a member of the royal family, one that has rendered his position within the institution completely unsustainable. For the good of the monarchy his family has sworn to uphold, he simply has to go. The path is clear. He must pack his bags, vacate the Royal Lodge, lock its doors behind him, and depart for good. The sooner this painful but necessary act is completed, the better for all involved. Yet since he remains deaf to public outcry and political pressure, the only people who might possibly break through this gilded bubble of denial are his own family, most poignantly his daughters Beatrice and Eugenie. They are perhaps the last best hope to make him hear the truth he refuses to acknowledge from anyone else, appealing to the father within the disgraced prince to finally end this damaging chapter for their sake and the future of the crown.
Second, but we have to start off with
let me guess. Yes.
And breathe.
And breathe.
And begin.
No. What do you want to know? So last Friday we got the announcement from Buckingham Palace that he was no longer going to use his titles. Now that, when I use that word very carefully, because he still owns the titles, he still has them. If they were sort of to be able to be pinned to him, they can't be unpinned. So all that he's done is agreed with the king to stop using his titles. That has kicked off a debate in the House of Commons. MPs are saying, well, actually, why don't we have a new law so we can actually...
We must begin by addressing the precise and carefully chosen language used in last Friday's announcement from Buckingham Palace. Prince Andrew has agreed to cease using his HRH and military titles, but he has not been stripped of them in a legal sense. He still fundamentally holds those titles, as they are inherent to his birthright and cannot be simply unpinned without a complex formal process. This semantic distinction, however, has failed to quell public outrage and has instead kicked off a significant political debate within the House of Commons, where members of Parliament are now arguing, if the palace's solution is merely a gentleman's agreement, then why don't we create a new law to actually remove the titles from him permanently? This move underscores how Andrew's predicament is no longer a private family matter, but is escalating into a public and parliamentary crisis, forcing a confrontation between centuries-old royal tradition and modern demands for accountability.
Mr. Speaker, given the revelations about Royal Lodge, does the Prime Minister agree that this House needs to properly scrutinise the Crown Estate to ensure taxpayers' interests are protected? The Chancellor herself has said that the current arrangements are wrong. So will the Prime Minister support a select committee inquiry so all those involved can be called for evidence, including the current occupant?
Prime Minister.
Well, it's important in relation to all properties, Crown properties, that there is proper...
The controversy surrounding Royal Lodge has now escalated from a royal scandal to a matter of state, as demonstrated by a direct challenge to the Prime Minister on the floor of the House of Commons. a member of Parliament, citing the recent revelations and the Chancellor's own admission that the current arrangements are wrong, demanded that the House exercise its authority to properly scrutinize the Crown estate to ensure taxpayers' interests are protected. The MPs call for a formal Select Committee inquiry, one that would have the power to summon all involved parties, pointedly including the current occupant of Royal Lodge, Prince Andrew, signals an unprecedented move to subject royal finances to the full force of parliamentary accountability. In response, the Prime Minister, while measured, affirmed the principle, stating that it is important that there is proper scrutiny for all Crown properties and offering support for that overarching goal. This exchange marks a significant institutional crossroads where the monarchy's traditional privacy is being forcefully challenged by the demand for public transparency and fiscal responsibility.
There are some countries where they might not have heard of Prince Andrew and the problems he's been causing the royal family this week. Italy, however, is not one of them. So wonderful, the King said this evening to be back, but he knows, and Italy's press knows, that he hasn't been able to leave the Andrew problem at home.
I think the topic of Prince Andrew is a new saga of the House of Windsor.
The King won't be popping into any of Rome's large bookshops, but were he to do so, he'd find the Italian version of the new memoir by Andrew's accuser. It has the same name, and the front cover says Epstein is the greatest scandal of our time. So what does it mean for tomorrow's significant moment at the Vatican, where a British monarch and the head of the Catholic Church will pray together for the first time in nearly 500 years?
While it is a point of law and fairness to state that Prince Andrew has vigorously denied the specific allegations of sexual assault made against him by Virginia Giuffre, this legal technicality does nothing to absolve the profound damage he has inflicted upon the monarchy. The undeniable truth is that his very association with Jeffrey Epstein and the subsequent scandal has absolutely blackened the name of the royal family, casting a long and sordid shadow over the institution. This could not have come at a worse time, as King Charles is currently abroad, undertaking a significant state visit to Rome to meet the Pope and attempting to establish a modern, forward-looking monarchy in the wake of Queen Elizabeth II's death. Yet instead of this new chapter being defined by progress and diplomacy, it is being completely dominated by the toxic and unresolved saga of Prince Andrew. Therefore, regardless of the legal denials, the situation is clear and the solution is imperative. For the survival and integrity of the crown, he simply has to go. It is a point of law and fairness to state that Prince Andrew has vigorously denied the specific allegations of sexual assault made against him by Virginia Giuffre. This legal technicality does nothing to absolve the profound damage he has inflicted upon the monarchy. The undeniable truth is that his very association with Jeffrey Epstein and the subsequent scandal has absolutely blackened the name of the royal family, casting a long and sordid shadow over the institution. This could not have come at a worse time, as King Charles is currently abroad, undertaking a significant state visit to Rome to meet the Pope and attempting to establish a modern, forward-looking monarchy in the wake of Queen Elizabeth II's death. Yet instead of this new chapter being defined by progress and diplomacy, it is being completely dominated by the toxic and unresolved saga of Prince Andrew. Therefore, regardless of the legal denials, the situation is clear and the solution is imperative. For the survival and integrity of the crown, he simply has to go.
Pack his bags, he has to get out of Royal Lodge, he has to lock the doors, and he has to go.
To pack his bags, lock the doors of Royal Lodge behind him, and depart for good. While some argue the government should intervene to force this outcome, doing so would set a dangerous precedent by dragging the state directly into a royal family matter, a line that should not be crossed. We must remain grateful for the immense service and global soft power the wider royal family provides, but Prince Andrew is the proverbial bad apple whose actions threaten to spoil the entire barrel. As a mother of 3 grown daughters, it is clear that if any of us behaved in the manner he has even been accused of, our own families would stage an intervention. My heart breaks for Beatrice and Eugenie, whose own reputations and potential for an active royal role are being tragically tarnished by their father's conduct. They, more than anyone, should be the ones to sit him down and tell him it's over, that for the good of the family and the nation he claims to have served, he must go and live elsewhere, perhaps even in another country, and finally allow the monarchy to heal from a scandal that has already diminished it through years of death, illness, and now his own disgrace.
various directions. This time it's all about the Royal Lodge. Should he be allowed to stay in the Royal Lodge, Piers? I mean, it's an extraordinary property.
Can I be honest? I don't really care about the building part of this scandal. You know, it's a complicated setup. He's paid, I think, £7.5 million, including millions up front to cover where he's living now. He doesn't perform any public duties and so on. He's been pretty well humiliated. The big problem with this story remains that there's been no man held accountable for any of the abuse of up to 2,000 young women. 2,000 young women. The only person who's in prison as a result of all this abuse is Ghislaine Maxwell, a woman. You know, Epstein cheated accountability by taking his life. And with Andrew, we just don't know. Let's be clear, we do not know.
He's vehemently denied any accusation.
Well, he did, but let's remember that he did say, I want my day in court against Virginia Giuffre when she was still alive. He was going to have his day in court. I'm going to clear my name. I'm looking forward to it. And at the last minute, he caved and he paid a reported $11 million to somebody he said to Emily Maitlis in that Newsnight interview he'd never met. Now, none of that rings right, but it doesn't mean he's guilty. However, we're now seeing
the ongoing scandal surrounding Prince Andrew has reached a new crescendo, with intense pressure mounting from all directions over his contentious residence at the lavish Royal Lodge. While the contractual intricacies of his lease, including a multi-million-pound upfront payment covering rent and upkeep, provide a legal shield, the debate has rapidly transcended the mere bricks and mortar of the estate. At its core, this is not a story about a privileged man being humiliated or stripped of his public duties. It is a story haunted by a far more profound and unresolved injustice. The central chilling problem remains that amidst the abuse of up to 2,000 young women, true accountability has been elusive. Jeffrey Epstein cheated justice by taking his own life, and the only person imprisoned is Ghislaine Maxwell. Andrew's own conduct has only deepened the shadows of suspicion. After vehemently denying the allegations and publicly proclaiming his eagerness for his day in court to clear his name against Virginia Giuffre, he abruptly capitulated, choosing to settle with a reported $11 million payment to a woman he claimed he had never met. This stark contradiction ensures that for the public, the question of what truly happened remains painfully open, turning the battle over his home into a symbol of a much larger failure of justice for the victims.
Now seeing in the US Congress a stream of leaked emails from the Epstein files, and the more that comes out, the more it is clear he did not tell Emily Maitlis the truth, particularly about the timeline of how long he stayed in touch with Epstein, which turns out to be a lot longer. And the last email was so damning. It was something like, I hope we can play together again. What does that mean? So Andrew has a lot of questions to answer. My fear is there's going to be more drip, drip, drip of these emails, and it's actually going to get a lot worse.
The already damning case against Prince Andrew is being systematically fortified by a relentless stream of leaked emails from the Epstein files, now emerging through U.S. congressional investigations. This new evidence makes it increasingly clear that his infamous 2019 interview with Emily Maitlis was a carefully constructed facade, particularly regarding the timeline of his association with the convicted sex offender. Contrary to his attempts to downplay the relationship, these communications reveal he remained in contact with Epstein for far longer than admitted, with one of the final emails standing out as particularly indefensible and creepily suggestive, "I hope we can play together again." This vague yet deeply troubling phrase hangs in the air, demanding an explanation he has never provided. With each new leak, the credibility of his past denials crumbles further, leading to the inescapable and ominous conclusion that this is merely the beginning. The drip feed of correspondence is likely to continue, threatening to expose even more damaging details that will intensify the global scrutiny and deepen the permanent stain on his reputation.
There's one thing he could do, right? Which is he could talk to the FBI, who have been investigating this for a number of years, under oath. Right? This is something he's never done, right? If he's telling the truth, and it's a big if, I think. If he is, fine, then you should have no problem, no concern in going under oath talking to the investigating authorities in America. This Epstein scandal has a long way to go. You know, I spoke to Virginia Giuffre's lawyer, a guy called David Boyes, a few weeks ago on my show, Uncensored. And he said that there are a number of men there who, in his opinion, are in the...
The path to reclaiming any shred of credibility remains starkly clear, yet persistently untaken. Prince Andrew could and should voluntarily speak to the FBI, who have been investigating this sprawling scandal for years. The crucial and thus far missing element of his cooperation would be to do so under oath. This is the definitive test he has consistently avoided. If his repeated claims of innocence hold any truth, a premise that grows more tenuous with each new revelation, then he should have no fear, no reservation in subjecting his account to the rigorous scrutiny of sworn testimony before the investigating authorities in America. The alternative, continued silence, speaks volumes. This scandal is far from over, and as emphasized by Virginia Giuffre's lawyer, David Boies, the yet-to-be fully unsealed files are believed to contain the names of numerous other men whose alleged actions may warrant criminal prosecution. The central burning questions, who are they? What are the specific allegations? Remain locked within those documents, and the truth is emerging not in a flood, but drip by damning drip, ensuring the pressure will only intensify until full accountability is achieved. In the end, the saga of Prince Andrew represents more than the fall of a single prince. It is a cautionary tale about the perilous clash between archaic privilege and modern accountability. His refusal to fully confront the gravity of his associations, compounded by a legally cautious but publicly disastrous settlement, has irrevocably shattered his reputation and positioned him as a persistent liability to a monarchy striving for relevance. The battle over Royal Lodge has become the physical symbol of this stalemate, a stark illustration of a man clinging to the last vestiges of his old life while the institution he represents attempts to move on without him. Ultimately, his story concludes with a painful but necessary truth, that no title, no royal lodge, and no family name can provide sanctuary from the court of public opinion. The monarchy, led by a pragmatic King Charles, has been forced to make a brutal choice, sacrificing a brother to save the institution. A clear signal that in the modern era, the survival of the crown depends not on the bloodlines it protects, but on the integrity it is perceived to uphold.